The truth is, having childhood trauma doesn't make your parents bad parents. Doesn't mean you had a terrible childhood either. We all are going to have childhood trauma. That's literally just a fact. My kid's going to have childhood trauma from me. And it's all unintentional. Because we forget that our parents are trying to live their lives for the first time too. And they had different battles. So like, for example, hold on. For example, if they were tight on money, they had multiple kids. We learned as the middle child, don't ask for money. Because don't ask for money for a t-shirt, because you're going to get a reaction. But my parents didn't mean to have a reaction. They did it because they were overwhelmed with my older sister, who had put them in a financial crisis, needing to go to a bunch of different rehab facilities for drug usage, you know, or running away from home. And my parents were overwhelmed. As the middle child, I felt their overwhelming feelings. As the middle child, and even as an adult child, I felt like I had to be the one to basically bear the consequences of my siblings' behavior, because I was the one they could trust and rely on to help, while my other siblings made their decisions to do whatever they were doing, causing the crisis in my family. And that was something I actually bore for a very long time, even into my adulthood, having to always carry the cross, carry the sins of my sisters. They leave their kids, who carries the cross? Me. You know what I mean? Because my parents need me. My sisters need this, who carries the cross? Me. Until I started stepping up for myself as an adult and I started saying, no, I'm not going to allow this sibling to live with me. They can live with my brother. He has his life way more established than I ever have, because I've constantly been in survival mode as a single mom. Just because I live close and I'm doing okay doesn't mean that I should be the one that has to bear the weight of a sibling's choices who they don't really have motivation to change their choices. And I'm hardly home because I'm working 4 or 5 jobs. That was my season of life for many years as a single mom, working 4 to 5 jobs, making anything work to make ends meet, which meant I wasn't really home much. I was working. So that's just an example. Was it on purpose? No. Did it happen because of the dynamic that they were having to navigate and they didn't realize the pressure that it put on me? Yes. You see, like childhood trauma, the things that we have to, as adults, rewire our mindset because of what we've been through, it's not always like because we had terrible families. No. We probably had amazing families. But they, too, were trying to navigate things. And even me, as a single mom, being very cognitive about how I phrase things to my own child. Being very cognitive that he also experiences the world way differently than I do. He takes things way more personally than I ever did. And he thinks of these little things as trauma. And I'm like, that is literally nothing. That's life. Because, you know, it's funny because I actually lived through more traumatic experiences than he ever has. Yet he's taken more of the feeling of being traumatized. Because it's like that picture of a golden retriever and a little Pomeranian or a wiener dog going through the same mud pile. I'm the golden retriever. The mud only went up to here because I was very independent, learned how to just do everything on my own because that's just the season that I was in with my life. I just did it myself. I went and performed at a talent show, won first place, came home with a ribbon and $50, and my parents were like, what'd you do? I said, oh, I sang at a talent show and I won first place. And they're like, oh my gosh, why didn't you tell us? And I was like, I literally didn't think about it. Because I didn't. I didn't think about it. And it didn't hurt my feelings either to not have them there. I was just used to just doing my own thing. Because my parents were so busy trying to keep their heads above their shoulders with my sister. You know what I mean? My son, even though I've been cognitive about trying to make sure that he doesn't have that lack mindset, but also understands, like, you can't expect me to you can't always be asking for something and then make me feel bad that I cannot actually buy it for you. Like, you shouldn't go to the store and expect to be able to be like, I want this and I want that. We go to the store for this. And I will tell you do you want something fun today? And then I'm trying to teach him that it's like not to have a lack mindset with money, but because like money is something that we have to be strategic with in our life. And then eventually it'll be bigger. You know what I mean? That was like a season of life where I had to teach him, but in a way that I was hoping I could teach him without a lack mindset. Of course, not having a father figure at all for 16 years is going to cause some childhood wounds that he's going to have to heal. Even though I did my best to fit both roles, I physically can't. I physically can't and emotionally can't. As best as I can try to be a dad, I'm a terrible dad. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. And I just really suck at being a dad, and I'm really great at being a mom. So he's going to have, in his own version as an adult, childhood problems that I caused, but I didn't mean to cause them because I was trying to not give him the same childhood trauma I received. So I tried to raise him differently. I straightened out his teeth as a kid, and even if I couldn't get it paid for through insurance, I was going to pay for it with whatever means necessary that I could pay for it, because I found that very important, because I always wanted that as a child, and I knew how much it affected me having to build confidence in myself, because I didn't get to have my teeth straightened until I was an adult, and they were pretty gnarly. It completely changed my face. Look at some of my old videos. It's nuts, when I fixed my teeth. But long story short, don't blame your parents for childhood trauma and as if that was all intended. They probably, most of the time, most cases, including mine, they didn't mean to. They really did their best raising you. And a lot of our core memories happen when they were going through the hardest parts of raising us because of our teenagers and their siblings who were teenagers and having multiple kids at the same time. Like, we forget how much they did for us as toddlers and as babies and how we were treated as then. And we remember the harder moments, and then we blame them for the things we go through as adults. But you have to remember they're living for the first time too. And sometimes the lessons that you've learned from them is ones that you actually end up teaching them as you become an adult. Like when I finally started saying no to my parents to housing my sisters whenever they needed somewhere to stay, I said, no, that's not safe for me and my son. It's not going to be good for our relationship. I don't agree with it because she is not ready and I'm not the sibling. Go to this sibling or don't go to me at all. Like, there's a sibling ready and you're wanting me to do it, and that's selfish. I had to be the one to teach that lesson. Was it easy to teach a lesson like that to my parents? No, but I did. And they listened. It wasn't an easy lesson for them to learn at first, but eventually they listened. We're not going to be able to ever have childhood mindsets that were given to us by how we were raised perfect. Everybody from rich to poor will have been given a mindset unintentionally by their parents and how they were raised or things that they said without the intention of it causing a mind block. But that's okay, because what they tried to do to protect you from what they've been through, we unintentionally also teach other things because we're still learning ourselves. I'm still learning as an adult. So is Caden, my son, as he's growing into himself. And I'm trying to catch those things that I don't understand of how he views and perceives the same situations I view and perceive. So I try to teach him, every perception is okay, but you have to remember how to have respect for the fact that yours might be a little bit heavier than what it really was. Let's really dissect it. And is it as deep as you think it is? Things of that nature. Just wanted to put that out there. Our kids we're gonna give our own kids childhood trauma. Just like we had childhood trauma and mind blocks from our own parents. But is it intentional? Never. It's just part of life. So stop being so angry at your parents and how they raised you when they were doing the best that they could, just like you're doing the best that you can. And realize that it's just a part of learning how to exist and how to grow through struggles,